Hey, it's James Lynch. We got a bit of an update with the Isaac Dalgarian controversy. Ariel Helwani on his show today revealing a bunch of interesting details here. We're going to go through some of the clips from this segment of the Ariel Helwani show where he talks about some of the things that he's been hearing behind the scenes, and some of this stuff is crazy. I'm not going to watch this entire clip here. It's about 4 minutes, but we can kind of go through the tweet here. He says, here's what I know regarding the Isaac Dalgarian gambling allegations. The UFC was aware of this. From my understanding, there were multiple conversations with Dalgarian and his team about this activity. I've spoken to several people who have known Isaac for a long time and have been told that in the gym, he goes up against some of the very best fighters in the world, not only holds his own, but sometimes gets the better of them. With everything else going on in the NBA right now, the UFC should have just pulled the fight. To be clear, I don't believe the UFC had anything to do with any sort of nefarious activity, but there were clear signs of something weird going on. Pull the fight. I'm in agreement with Ariel. I mean, this looks a lot worse. The fact that the fight actually continued, you could see the line movement moving significantly before the fight happened. So the UFC would have been better to kind of, get ahead of this thing, but it ends up happening. Now the fallout's sort of taking place there. And in this clip, because, Ariel sort of goes into what he's been hearing behind the scenes, is that, Dalgarian's very good in the gym. He's a very good prospect. That's part of the thing that I think a lot of people are missing here. I see a lot of people, since this has all come out, saying, oh, Dalgarian's not that good of a fighter. He hasn't fought good opposition, all these different things. And DeVille was such a better fighter. Like, that might all be true, but I've heard the same thing that Ariel has heard from some of the teammates that have trained with Isaac Dalgarian. He is a very good prospect here. So that's what makes this entire thing worse. It's not like some just random fighter or some contender series fighter with a couple fights. Like, Dalgarian is a guy that, we've seen the talent and the potential there. So yeah, it's, it makes it look even worse that he had the type of performance he did, not taking anything away from DeVal, but just, again, Isaac Dalgarian, we've seen him perform at a high level before. Now, here's a key thing that really sort of blew things up a little bit here. We are going to watch this clip. It's about 2 minutes. And it talks about multiple fighters being approached to throw fights, basically, which I think is crazy just for the simple fact that we had this whole situation with James Krause and Jeff Molina, where Molina's basically been blacklisted from the UFC. You understand it from the financial perspective, but also the risk of it, ruining your career and getting blacklisted is pretty tough here. So listen to what Ariel has to say here about other fighters who have been approached about throwing fights. This is very interesting stuff.
This is on the FBI's radar. How deep of an investigation is unclear at this time. This is all very new. But yes, it is accurate. I believe there's a gentleman named Harry Mack on social media who is having a nice little victory tour after all of this, and I'm sure he's going to have another one. I'm not familiar with his work, but he did write that yesterday.
So just quick thing, because I had some people in my video being like, who's this Harry Mack guy? I explained that I've seen him have accurate news before. Again, nothing confirmed here, but the fact that Ariel's even referencing this, I think is a sign that he does know what's going on behind the scenes a little bit. Ariel's not just going to name drop anyone. So just wanted to point that out because I saw some people in my other video being like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. Well, if Ariel's referencing it, Ariel's, again, #1 guy in this sport when it comes to covering MMA. If he's referencing it, that's a good sign.
And so that is my understanding. And my understanding is that this is not an isolated incident. And what I mean by that is I have talked to multiple people who have either experienced or know of others who experienced situations where they have been approached about their willingness to do something like this. So I have been told by multiple people that they have been approached, they have been talked to and said, are you interested in this? Are you interested in throwing a fight for X amount of dollars? Believe that's what happened with Darrick Minner. And all signs right now are pointing to something of that sort happening here. This is a massive issue for the UFC. And when you consider, now I haven't been told this part that I'm about to say, but when you consider the questionable refereeing as of late, you can't help, I said this last week, you can't help but let your mind go there as well, because there's no other possible explanation for some of the wacky stuff that we have seen as of late. And it's very easy to do. It's extremely easy to do. We've seen it. We've now seen it in broad daylight multiple times. And I think what is happening here, adding 1 + 1 + 1, I believe what is happening here is people are preying on lower level fighters who don't make a lot of money, who are in tough spots, who are fighting in the major leagues, and they're offering them a quick fix. They're not going to like the top dogs, but they're offering a quick fix to the lower level fighters. How prevalent is this? I can't tell you, but I've now heard it multiple occasions in my conversations over the past 24 plus hours saying, are you interested? And that's a huge problem. And so how big of a story this becomes remains to be seen. But this is happening in gyms, in private. This is a big story.
And this is something I talked about in my last video too, where, you know, you can understand certain fighters, like if you're out for a while, like in the case of Dulgarian, he hadn't fought in a bit. These are, you know, situations that could arise. So we have Ariel right now confirming that other fighters have been approached with this. This, like he said, is a huge issue. We're going all the way back to the Derek Minner, James Krause thing from a couple of years ago. The one thing I wonder now with all this information coming out, are we now going to see certain sports books pull UFC fights from their books? Because that's what happened in certain Canadian markets last time this happened. This was with the Derek Minner and James Krause thing in Ontario, I believe. And I know here in British Columbia, where I live in Canada, they had books that would not offer UFC lines. So keep an eye on your sports books going forward and seeing if there's going to be any action here. The good news is that the FBI and the UFC have been kind of monitoring this, so hopefully it doesn't lead to that, because I know a lot of you watching this do bet on fights. But this is a really, really interesting thing that's taken place here, that there might be multiple things. And listen, I've seen people in the comments, and I agree with them. There's been some really shady stuff the last couple weeks, months, you name it. The Michael Aswell fight with Almeida, where you could see that Almeida was injured. We had the Rafa Garcia and Jared Gordon fight, which I've referenced several times in videos, where Jared Gordon got in a car accident and we saw some line movement there. This one was a little bit different. Again, the difference between this and those other ones that we mentioned are two big things. The first one is the line movement was a lot more significant of what we saw on Saturday. And the second thing was we saw, you know, again, sports books come out and offer credits. And we also saw one thing I didn't mention in the other videos. I've also heard that DraftKings, Circa, a few other books, while the fight was going on with Dulgarian and Deval, they actually pulled some prop bets off the table because they were even hearing things there as well. So again, everything's out here, and this is something that I think will be a big story going forward in terms of, you know, like, are they going to look back on past fights? And I've had some people be like, are they going to refund things? No, of course they're not, but they are going to probably investigate a lot of this now. And I think this is really going to be under the microscope here. So again, the big update here is that there has been multiple fighters approached, and we have Ariel Helwani coming on here and saying that. And that's a big problem. And you can understand the appeal, because like I mentioned in my last video, the NBA probe, these are people that were making good money. We're talking like millions and millions of dollars. A lot of UFC fighters are not making millions of dollars. So they're a lot more susceptible, like Ariel mentioned. And again, different sport where if you're injured, you're not getting a paycheck, right? You're off out of the sidelines, or you can't get a fight. Like Ariel used the word there, quick fix. That's exactly true here. So again, a lot coming out of this right now. I will try and update this as much as I can when I get more information. But as of right now, just wanted to confirm a few things. We don't know what's happening with Isaac Dulgarian in terms of any legal action from, you know, whoever. We do know that he's been released from the UFC. There's been no statement from Dulgarian or his management. We haven't heard any of that. But a lot of stuff's going to kind of unravel in the next little bit here. And like I said, I'll try and keep on top of this the best I can. But the latest sort of update that we've got now is that we now have confirmation that multiple fighters have been approached to do this. So something to definitely keep an eye on going forward. So I don't know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you surprised by this? I'm not really, in the sense. I'm a little bit surprised in the sense of we just went through all this with the Krause stuff 3 years ago. I know, again, we've got fighters that definitely want to make more money, or, you know, want things to be a bit easier from a financial standpoint. But I still think the risk of being blackballed for your career is very great. And so part of me is surprised from that perspective. But the other side is like, I understand that if someone's going to give you a lot of money, you know, it might be a better situation. Not that I'm excusing it. I'm saying I understand why someone would want to do that. So yeah, I'll try and keep you guys updated the best I can. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.